Okay, good evening. Good evening. Thank you for coming. Okay, can you hear me? Parshas Emor, it's the parsha with the largest amount of mitzvahs. I believe in Sefiras, which is a book that categorizes the number of mitzvahs in each parsha. Parshas Emor is by far and away the greatest amount of commandments in one parsha, and it is, I believe it's close to 100. It's a very large parsha when it comes to mitzvahs. So there's a lot to talk about. Just briefly summarize the parsha. The beginning of the parsha talks about the Kehanim. For those that come into Daf Yomi, it's been a large discussion. We had it in Yavamis, we had it in Durham, Nazir, came up a lot. Who a Kohen is allowed to marry, he's not allowed to become Tameh, eating Truma, who's allowed to eat Truma. If the Kohen has a blemish, he might not be able to serve, different types of blemishes. Then we learn a little bit about the different types of sacrifices, different laws pertaining to very specific types of sacrifices, slaughtering a mother and its child on the same day, etc. And then we have a long section which comprises the reading of the Torah for both days of Sukkot and I believe the second day of Pesach, which is what we call Sharei Chesed. But the bulk of the reading talks about Shabbos and the Yom Tovim. So first it talks about Pesach. What's interesting about Pesach and Shavuos, so every chapter, if you look at it from Torah, there's what they call psuchas and stumas. A psucha is a new line. A stuma is sort of a tab, a space inside of a line. So, for example, when we talk about Pesach, there is a new heading, new line. Talk about Sukkot, there's a new line. You talk about Rosh Hashanah, there's a new line. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are separated by an indentation inside a line. And similarly is with Pesach and Shavuos. What's interesting is that how do you know what day is Pesach? It's the 15th day of Tishrei. What day is Rosh Hashanah? It's the first day. Pesach is the 15th day of Nisan. 15th day of Tishrei is Sukkot. The first day of Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah. The 10th day of Tishrei is Yom Kippur. So what day is the first day of Shavuos? Shavuos. What date is Shavuos? Very good. Shavuos does not have a date. Shavuos is the 50th day after Pesach. It's very interesting. That means that in a certain sense, Shavuos is the completion of Pesach. Shavuos doesn't have a date. Shavuos is 50 days after Pesach. The 50th day following the first day of Pesach is Shavuos. And the Ramban points out that the days of the Omer, it's sort of like a Chol Hamoed that connects Pesach and Shavuos. Pesach and Shavuos is the celebration of the realization of Pesach. We'll explain this shortly. Anyway, so the Torah continues talking about Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and then we finish a discussion with the oil of the menorah, some more specifics about the sacrifices, and finally with the execution of the Mikal. The Mikal was the woman who cursed the name, which is obviously a euphemism. Doesn't mean she cursed the name. She said whatever she said, it was about God Himself. It wasn't just about His name, and she was executed. Okay. And that concludes the parsha. So obviously, being that it's Sefiras or in the period between Pesach and Shavuos, so I want to talk a little bit about Sefiras Omer, counting the Omer. And the truth, like we said, counting the Omer is really what connects Pesach to Shavuos. It is the Omer. What defines Shavuos is the Omer. How do you know which date it is? It's the Omer. And of course, the reason for that is because when I take out my people from Egypt, the purpose of this is serve Hashem on the mountain, to accept the Torah. So in a certain way, the Shavuos is a celebration of realizing the purpose of the Exodus, of Pesach. And that seems to be why Shavuos is not on its own date. Because Shavuos is not a celebration of its own right. Shavuos is the culmination of Pesach. So it's really connected to Pesach, and that's why the connection is the Omer. So what is that? What does that mean? In what way does the Omer connect Pesach to Shavuos? So we'll talk a little bit about the Omer, and then maybe a little bit we'll get to Lag BaOmer as well. It's coming up, Yirtzeh Hashem, God willing, this week, Monday night, Tuesday, and hopefully you'll join us in different celebrations. Maybe hear some of what I'm saying again. Sefiras Omer. There's an interesting idea that comes up in life. It comes up in the Torah in many places. I guess I'll start with the idea. Talmud teaches that before a child is born, an angel comes and teaches the child the entire Torah. Every single component of Torah is taught to a fetus, to an infant, child in the mother's womb. And then what happens? An angel comes, it bangs it on the lip, he forgets everything, and he's born. Now, obviously, the question is, if he's going to forget everything, so why do you teach him the whole thing? What's the purpose of it all? And the idea is very simple. The idea in life in general, in most experiences in life, there's a period of youth, there's a period of maturity. And one of the defining features of youth is the boundless limitation, the boundless lack of limitation. The fact that a child can do anything. It's an infinite possibilities. And part of youth is to explore the possibilities, find out what exactly a person is going to focus on. A person can only have one career. It can only focus on one thing in life. Ultimately, youth has to be limited, and hopefully, whatever it's limited to, it will be realized. It will be developed and be brought forward as something complete. And in that sense, in a skill, if certain very fine skills, they say it specifically with regard to sharpshooters. They start off when they're beginners, they're pretty good. And then after they shoot enough, they lose it. And they're worse off than they were when they started. And then if they practice a lot, then they really develop a skill. And it's like this with a lot of fine skills. And because the sort of intuitive nature, you start off in sharpshooting, they say it's that you don't know when the bullet's going to leave the gun. So you're always like not anticipating it, but you are anticipating it. So you're always more cautious. And then in a certain sense, it wears off on you. And you're less cautious, and then you're not as careful with aiming correctly. It's a good metaphor because aiming correctly is really the whole idea of maturity. Youth is all these possibilities when one feels some amount of satisfaction in the different possibilities that he pursues. Another example they give in life is romance. Some people try to be romantic for all their lives, but it doesn't really work out very well usually. But romance is a temporary experience. Romance is a taste of what a fulfilling matrimonial harmony could look like. Doesn't mean it will look like that. That takes years of achievement. And the idea in Pesach, the idea of the child, let's say going back to the infant, you have the infant, he learns the whole Torah. What's the purpose of it? The purpose of it is to give him a conceptual framework for what it's like to know all of Torah. And now life is actually going out and pursuing it. You got the Torah as a gift. You didn't earn it. And now maturity in life is to acquire that of your own merits, of your own being worthy because of what you yourself have achieved, the efforts you put into something. And that's really what's going on in Pesach. Pesach, the Jewish people, there's an exodus. God takes us out of Egypt. When we come to the splitting of the seas, there's an interesting conversation that went on. So God told the sea to split. So the sea said, who should I split for? There's two groups of idol worshippers here. There's the Jewish people that worshipped idols in Egypt. They did sin with idol worship. And there's the Egyptians that are idol worshippers. So why am I splitting for anyone? So when God took us out of Mitzrayim, he had to elevate us spiritually. Pesach means to pass over, but it also means to be elevated, to jump. And God jumped us up spiritually. And now, Sefiras Emor is the process of earning, of having the merits to be worthy of the commitment of Torah. So the receiving of the Torah happens on Shavuos. Shavuos is the realization of that youthful moment of Pesach. Pesach is a moment of youth where we have a tremendous uplifting spiritual experience when God actually took us out of Mitzrayim. And then again, every year when we celebrate Pesach, we have the opportunity for a tremendous spiritual uplifting. However, Sefiras Emor is to get back to what that was, to be worthy of committing to the Torah, of enjoying a marital relationship with Hashem by working toward it, by personal development. So, for example, some have a custom, especially in Nusach Sfard. For some reason, Kesed doesn't have this custom. The Sefiras Emor, 7 weeks of 7 days each one is divided to focus on a specific midah. First week is love, the second week is strength, third week is beauty, etc. And for a person in his own character development to identify where he's lacking. First week maybe give charity. Second week, a person tries to withhold from certain types of desires, and etc. So Sefiras Emor really is, and that is the connection. Pesach, like we said, Shavuos is a culmination of Pesach. And the connecting force, what bonds the two together, is Emor. Emor is the work of personal development. It's the work of bringing out oneself. Explain a little bit more. Right, the midos are listed. Right, exactly. So some congregations have the custom to actually say it. So there's a prayer that you say at the end. It's called Rabbeinu Shalom, where you pray to God to give you strength to figure out how to purify yourself in each of these midos. Again, in each one there's 7 main categories, and each of the 7 categories are divided again along the same 7 categories. Okay, for a different time, exactly what that is, but just want to finish off, discuss a little bit about Lag BaOmer. About 6 minutes left. If you take the Omer, it can be divided up into 2 segments. The first 32 days and the remaining 19. 1932 is 49. In Hebrew, the numerical value of 32 is the word kavod. Chaf is 20, Beis is 2, Vav is 6, Dalet is 4, right? So 20, 2, 6, and 4 is 32. Kavod means a few things. It means honor, dignity, respect, which obviously is what emanates from a person. It's a person's stature. It's a person's dignity isn't himself, but it's how he is judged, on what level he's looked at. Sort of a status. It's a status question. It's a mark of stature. And then also the word kavod also means heaviness. Kavod means something that's heavy, which is really the same idea. The heaviness accorded to something is its stature. The remaining 19 days, 19 is the Hebrew equivalent of Tov. Tes is 9, Vav is 6, Beis is 2, right? 9 plus 6 plus 2. Okay, 17 and 13. 17 is Tov. There we are. 17 is Tov. Tov obviously is good. It's interesting, the 17th word of the Torah is, I believe, Tov. Or it's the 32nd, maybe the 32nd actually. I think it's the 32nd word. The Torah is Tov. Yeah, it's 32nd word. It's the 32nd, 32nd, 33rd word. Okay. And the idea here is as follows. What happened in the first 32 days? The students of Rabbi Akiva, 12,000 pairs of students, they all passed away. Why did they pass away? They didn't treat each other with dignity. And the idea here is that as fellow students who were studying the Torah, they failed not only to accord each other with respect, but at a minimum to accord the Torah respect. Because each of them represents a student of Torah. They were studying Torah together. They were students of Rabbi Akiva. And by failing in the midah of kavod, in the appropriate category of which the first 32 days are focused on, they lost their merit to life. Why exactly you merit such a severe penalty is another discussion. It happened. It's the case in Talmud that people that committed relatively minor offenses got seriously punished, and it's the case throughout Torah as well. Why that is another discussion. But they could not carry the connection of Torah. They failed to perfect the Sefiras Emor. They failed in the midah, in the pathway of perfection, of culminating, of your own merits, an appropriate respect for the stature of Torah. That was their mission, and they failed. The last 19 days, you have Tov, good. It's when Rabbi Akiva gathers the 5 students, of which one of them, 17, of which one of them is Rabbi Akiva. One of them is Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai reveals the Zohar. Some of the great secrets of the Zohar were revealed on Lamed Gimel, the 33rd day of the Emor. The 33rd day of the Emor. What was Vayara Kimas Arki Tov? God saw the light and it was good. What type of light did God create? He created 2 forms of light. He created the light we see, and the Zohar also teaches he created a hidden light, the Or Hagonos, and he hid it. And where is it hidden? In the secrets of Torah. And that day that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, the last day of his life on Lag BaOmer, The sun did not set. It was delayed until he could reveal all the secrets. He revealed the hidden light of Torah. The light of Toiv, the perfection of the world, the appropriate stature of where the Torah should actually be, that was revealed. Because where did God hide the Or HaGanos? Where was it hidden? The Zohar says it was hidden in the Torah. And that's why the Zohar says, the book that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai revealed, the Zohar says, B'hai Sefer, Iu Sefer Zohar, Yifkun Yisrael Megalusa. That through this book, which is the book of the Zohar, this is the book that will merit to take us out of exile. Because it has in it the true light, the true pathway for a person to achieve a commitment, a love relationship with Hashem that happens on Shavuos. And that revelation is the reason why we're so joyous on that day. Because that represents the proper pathway of the Sefiras Emor, the proper way to connect Pesach with Shavuos. An uplifting was taken away, and then work, merit-based work. Merit to receive the Torah, to receive the Or HaGanos, the light that was hidden, and through that to reveal the light of the Torah and to accord it its appropriate stature. Have a great evening.